what changes should the NBA make to the regular season?
Nothing. I believe this league is perfect the way it is. When Michael Jordan played, I don't believe hearing him complain. So why should we? I understand that people talk about risk of injury, but 82 games does give you a chance to heal from injuries also. 82 games gives you a chance to travel around the best country in the world, to see your friends and family. So 82 games, league is perfect. No need to change anything.
I struggle with this one a little bit because I do remember when there was a lockout during the summer, when they were playing around 67, 70 games, it did feel as if there was a sense of urgency with each game. And I always go back to like the MVP conversation that we end up having, that people say, oh, I don't really care who wins the MVP, it's the regular season. And it feels like whenever we have these conversations, we devalue the regular season. Mm-hmm. Look, I think the in-season tournament would be brilliant. What he said there about creating more meaningful games, Stephen A., like that's my thing. I think there are a lot of games on the schedule that don't matter because we don't get the matchups that we want. And almost a way similar to the NFL does it, I think if we were able to create more meaningful matchups throughout the regular season through powerhouse teams and have those blockbuster games, I think that would create a lot more energy throughout the regular course of the season that would get fans more involved and would get players more engaged, frankly.
Yeah, but sometimes the teams, like, I don't know how many Laker games there were last year, but it was a ton. Like, the NBA is growing fast. And, people want to see new product. And I'm not saying that the Lakers are old product, but people want to see these young guys. People want to see new guys. And,
right.
and when you talk about teams playing each other, the NBA has to do a better job of putting more teams out on TV.
Let me give y'all both something to think about. You're not wrong with what you're saying. Let me start off by saying that. When you talk about more interesting games, doesn't that fall on the players? How interested are you? How compelling are you? How much do you want this? Are you just treating it like it's just another game? Do you get up for the Lakers because they on national TV, but when you play in Orlando and nobody's watching outside of local television, it doesn't enthuse you as much? I'm saying when you think about what intrigues an audience, gravitating to what draws in an audience, paying attention to that, having the pulse of the people per se, all of those things come into consideration because what we've learned is when it comes to the world of sports, no matter what people say, it ain't just your play. It's also the personality you bring along with it. Perfect example. Look at LeBron. All right, what about Tim Duncan? Tim Duncan was a 5-time champion. Tim Duncan is arguably the greatest power forward to have ever played the game. Stout professional, big time, the whole bit. Was never box office, ever. And you have a few people in the world of professional sports, I'm not just talking about basketball, but period, that isn't necessarily that. My personal opinion is you can get people. It's not the only thing, please don't get me wrong. It's not like there's nothing that needs to be done. But having a personality that goes along with your talent, something that resonates with an audience goes a long way. Because even when the game's interest has diminished to you to some degree in terms of a particular game or whatever, you'll still gravitate to wanting to see that
Stephen A., that's
individual.
just the kind of thing. Some people have it. You have a big personality. People gravitate. Other people don't. So part of that's just being authentic to yourself. You can't create it. But my mind goes somewhere else. It's more the injuries. Because the last few years in the finals, a lot of the big stars haven't been able to play due to injury. So that would be one reason I think maybe consider it. So there is more rest. And I know you could say guys are already resting and taking games. But then if guys aren't resting during the games because they're getting less games, then I think the games would be more impactful.
Yeah, when I sit back and I had a conversation with some teammates about this. The game of basketball, the game of football, wrestling, all that is entertainment. You want more fans to be engaged? Well, put more entertainment out on the court.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the best player though. It's a difference. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Put the guy who's gonna go crazy, who's gonna yell, whoa, whoa. That's gonna bring fans out. That's gonna do all that type of stuff. But this game is an entertainment game, and once we understand
trying
that,
to strip the game of personality.
Yeah.
You want to strip the game of violence, but let the personalities fly.
No.
But Molly, just to your rest point,
Just the
it's not
injury.
always the players who want to rest.
Yeah.
A lot of times the teams are the ones
Yeah.
telling the players
That is
to rest
absolutely
as
true.
well.
But don't you feel like we've had more stars out in the finals
Yeah,
the
but-
last few years?
But a lot of times, a lot of teams are the ones saying, "Hey, look, you have this back-to-back coming up, or you have these amount
Yeah.
of back-to-backs." You should think
Numerous
about-
players.
It
So I'm
happens
just saying, if we
multiple
had less
times.
games, do you think that'd be less of an issue?
I still think that teams would find a way to skirt
I
the
told
edge
you-
in
So
order
it
to
would-
get their players.
yeah,
yes.
it would
Molly, I
make a
told you
difference.
months ago, numerous players have called me throughout this season complaining whenever I bring that up because they want me to remind the audience teams are holding us back from playing too. It's
Yeah.
not just us. And that's why I made it a point over the last few months to bring up that these teams, to protect their investment, to stretch it out, et cetera, they want to sit up there and curtail these players from playing.
Yep.
So it's not just the players. It's definitely the
absolutely.
ownership coming on
I
down,
guess
bringing the
it's
heavy
just
hand.
my thought process. If you're playing less games, maybe you'll be healthier.
I just think from a PA standpoint too. I know we have a collective bargaining agreement coming up in a couple of years. I think that's something that we need to address. Maybe we can have better qualifications in the training staff area.
Yeah.
Now you get the best product
Right.
at all times. Now
Yep.
so.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.